let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're looking at a truly fascinating scenario where 6 major AI language models, including heavy hitters like ChatGPT, Gemini, and DeepSeek, were used to impartially audit a highly controversial legal case. We are talking about a unique situation here. Artificial intelligence was deployed to review court documents, not to take any sort of political side, but purely to evaluate the underlying logic, the evidence, and the legal foundation of a specific conviction. In an era where our digital footprints connect us instantly to a global conversation, this serves as an incredible test case for how we might actually use AI as a digital legal auditor.
To hook right into the core tension of this case, we have to ask the fundamental question these AI models investigated. Is it a crime to forward a social media post if it causes absolutely no real-world disruption? None at all. That is the exact scenario these models were tasked with evaluating. And honestly, what they uncovered when they dug into the court's reasoning is going to fundamentally change how we think about the intersection of our digital actions and the law.
Here is the roadmap for our zoom-out analysis today. We're going to quickly cover the incident itself, the legal disconnect, the procedural justice failures, the clash with macro policies, and finally, the AI legal consensus.
All right, starting off with Section 1, the incidents and Dr. Chen's retweets.
So let's get the base facts down. Dr. Chen Jinyuan, who is a complex systems physics PhD, was sentenced to 20 months in prison. And his offense? Forwarding posts on Twitter, a platform where, by the way, he had fewer than 100 followers. The records show Dr. Chen forwarded things like political cartoons, historical documents, and foreign speeches. Crucially, these posts generated virtually zero engagement. We're talking no riots, no protests, literally no measurable real-world impact whatsoever. Yet local authorities still deem this a criminal act. Right off the bat, the AI models highlighted this massive disparity between the action itself and the severity of the punishment.
Moving right along to Section 2, the legal disconnect, specifically looking at substantive law.
Dr. Chen was convicted of a crime that is often translated as picking quarrels and provoking trouble. According to the AI evaluation of the legal statutes, this specific law explicitly requires 4 elements to be met. You have to know the information is false, spread it on an information network, create a disturbance, and, this is the big one, cause a serious disruption of public order. Now, a glaring issue surfaced during the AI review. The court completely failed to provide evidence for that 4th condition. There was absolutely zero proof of a serious, real-world disruption.
But it gets even more legally problematic when you look at the very first element, the whole false information requirement. The AI models argued that the court improperly conflated verifiable facts with subjective opinions and art. For example, Dr. Chen forwarded things like an Umbrella Girl cartoon and opinion pieces from international figures. All 6 AI systems unanimously agreed here. You just cannot legally classify a hand-drawn cartoon or a subjective opinion as a fabricated rumor or fake news, because they simply aren't verifiable facts in the first place.
So you might be wondering, how did the court actually prove he had malicious intent? Well, the official judgment stated that because Dr. Chen has a high education and a PhD, he, and I quote, should be able to distinguish right from wrong. The models noted a heavily unified critique of this exact logic. Using someone's education level as a presumption of legal guilt is a massive departure from standard legal practices. You simply cannot substitute actual evidence of a crime with a presumption just because someone has a fancy college degree.
In fact, models like Gemini offered a totally alternative perspective, arguing that a scientist's mindset naturally questions complex information. A PhD in complex systems is literally trained to look at diverse sources, practice scientific skepticism, and evaluate different viewpoints. They aren't trained for blind conformity. The analysis suggests that a scientist out there collecting data or exploring alternative viewpoints actually completely undermines the court's assumption of malicious criminal intent.
Which brings us to Section 3, procedural justice failures and the error chain.
When analyzing the court documents, the models mapped out a very clear legal error chain. It started off with a vague indictment that completely lacked concrete proof of harm. Then it escalated to a closed-door, secret trial, despite there being no valid state secret justification for hiding these proceedings from the public. And finally, it ended with a paper-only appeal. The appellate court didn't even hold a hearing. They just rejected the appeal by stating Dr. Chen didn't provide new evidence of his innocence, which, as the AI audit correctly pointed out, illegally reverses the burden of proof. In any fair justice system, it's the state's job to prove guilt, not the defendant's job to prove innocence.
Okay, Section 4, the clash with macro policies. Let's zoom out a bit. Evaluating the broader political context revealed a pretty significant contradiction. The digital audit noted that criminalizing cross-cultural retweets directly conflicts with top-level national policies, specifically the stated goal of fostering a community with a shared future for mankind. The analysis showed that punishing a citizen simply for exploring diverse global viewpoints totally contradicts the open cultural exchange promoted by the highest levels of national policy. Essentially, the local court's actions actively undermined the broader national narrative.
And these risks, they definitely extend to the international stage. DeepSeek and the other systems warned about the massive diplomatic friction this creates. By labeling official foreign statements, like public speeches from foreign embassies, as domestic rumors to be prosecuted, the local court was really overstepping its bounds. The analysis pointed out that this breaches international principles of non-interference and network sovereignty. That's the idea that a country controls its own digital borders. It really damages an international rule of law image when a citizen is jailed merely for looking at what the rest of the world is saying.
Finally, Section 5, the AI legal consensus, acting as our digital auditor. This is where it gets incredibly cool. What stands out here is that each of the 6 major models audited the exact same stack of documents, but they naturally gravitated toward their own different analytical strengths. Gemini analyzed the philosophy of subjective guilt. ChatGPT meticulously mapped out all the procedural errors. Grok looked at it from a macro civilization and human rights view. DeepSeek analyzed international law and policy alignment. Copilot focused strictly on document logic. And Quen even provided practical legal remedies and evidence lists for the defense. Yet despite taking all these completely different analytical paths, every single model arrived at the exact same destination. They unanimously found the conviction fundamentally flawed.
The source material we reviewed for this explainer concludes with this absolutely powerful sentiment. It says, "The law must be believed, otherwise it is useless. But if the law becomes a tool to suppress belief, believing in it becomes a tragedy." That captures the AI consensus perfectly, doesn't it? When local authorities stretch the law way beyond its limits just to punish simple information sharing, they aren't protecting society. They are actually eroding the very foundation of trust that makes a legal system work in the first place. Which leaves us with this final, highly provocative thought. As legal systems worldwide struggle with human biases, political pressures, and procedural shortcuts, could objective AI models become the ultimate digital auditors of justice? I mean, if 6 different AIs can instantly spot the logical fallacies and legal overreaches in a court document, perhaps we are literally looking at the future of legal accountability. Just think about what that means for transparency in our courts moving forward. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and definitely keep questioning the systems around you.